We are in a lovely little park just close to where we live.
Hello, it's us again, Jock and Helen.
Hello.
And we're going to do another vlog, our number 2 vlog, and we've decided because we're still here in Australia, can't get to England, can't leave Australia, the Australian government won't let us leave, can't go to England unless it's an emergency. We think it's an emergency, but they don't. We'd love to get to our canal boat, which is still up in Yorkshire, getting its hull black sometime now.
Yeah.
And we're still quite a few months away from getting to England. So meantime, like we said in vlog number 1, we're going to do a few history things.
Yes, and now we're going to talk about some famous gum trees. I'm sure you all want to know about famous gum trees in Australia, particularly South Australia.
They're not just famous, they're historic. And one of them dates back to maybe when the migrants first got here. And that's one to do with a canoe.
Yes.
And then we're going to look at one that's a famous one down at Glenelg.
Yes.
Then we're going to look at another one up in the Brown Hill Creek where I got bitten by a dog while we were filming it. And then the other one, maybe the main one, is about what we call the dig tree. So we're going to play them one by one, and we hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. Hello folks, we're home now, and I'd like to show you this fire guard. You'll notice it doesn't have any feet. In 1983 we moved to Christchurch for 15 years, and one day while I was there I went into an op shop, and there I saw this fire guard, and I had a close look at it, and I remembered, my mind went back to my school days, and I thought, aha, Burke and Wills, and these dear little Kiwis don't know this story. That's why it's only $20. So I paid the $20 for it, and it's been a treasure in our house ever since. You notice I took the feet off it. They got lost somewhere anyway, in our travels. Now this is Burke and Wills. There was an expedition in 1860 that was organised by the Victorian government. This was long before Federation. And they were, of course, looking to expand after the gold rush when Victoria was becoming very, very prosperous. So they organised this expedition to see what other land they could claim.
Actually, they were going to see if they could beat South Australia, who they were also organising an expedition. And if they could get, the state of Victoria wanted to get there first.
Colonial days. So the Victorian government imported 25 camels for this expedition, led by Burke, Wills and King. And who was the other guy?
Gray.
Gray, of course, don't forget him. Anyway, it left on the 20th of August, 1860, and they set off. They left a party behind at Camp 65, wasn't it, I think?
It is.
At Cooper's Creek, or Cooper Creek, whichever you like. And they headed on up to the Gulf of Carpentaria, and they had a shocking time. And one of them died on the way back. Who was it?
Gray.
Gray died on the way back before they ever
A week
got back
before they got back there.
to the camp. Anyway, when they got there, the gentleman who had supposed to be looking after things, and I think at this point I'm going to read something to you, and then I'll get it right. Burke's party, by now reduced to 3 with the death of Gray on 17th of April 1861, reached Camp 65 on the evening of the 21st of April 1861. Only 2 exhausted camels survived, and the men were perilously...
Which you can see very vividly in this.
Here we go.
Just the 2 camels.
There's a camel face, and there's another one. The men were perilously low on stores. They discovered that Bray, who had
William
Bray, had departed that same day, leaving the messages carved into the dig tree.
Because he was in charge of the support party left behind, and he was not supposed to leave when he left, but he left that day. Go on, Helen.
Wow. They discovered that Bray had departed that same day, leaving the messages carved into the dig tree, pointing to the cache of supplies. Subsequent events would prove to be a litany of missed opportunities and failure to communicate. Wow.
Actually, this whole expedition, when you go through the whole thing, is far too complicated to go through now. With all the mistakes and the infightings, and people got sacked along the way, and the wrong sort of person left in charge of the camp.
They didn't work as a team.
Everything you could possibly imagine went wrong. The end result is these two men, Burke and Wills, perished. Gray had already perished, and Johnson, maybe the guy there with his head down, I don't know, he did survive a bit longer and was rescued. He was kept alive by the Aborigines.
You sure that was Johnson? That's not Mr. King, you mean?
I mean Mr. King. Where did Mr. Johnson come into it?
I'm sure he was in the picture somewhere.
No, that was King, kept alive. Just a comment on people dying of starvation like these people did. You know, the Europeans left in the outback on their own usually die. And the Aboriginal people are incredulous that how could you possibly die of starvation or thirst when it's like the Garden of Eden for them. For thousands of years they've survived in the very rugged outback of Australia. They know where to dig for water, they know what grubs to eat, they know what berries to find, and they can survive pretty well anywhere. But us Europeans, we're not much good on our own. We need all our luxuries.
My father always used to tell a story, and he was a Scotsman, and he would love to tell a story against the English. He used to say to us, did you ever hear the story of the Englishman who died of thirst on the banks of the Murray? And we would play along with him and say, no, Dad. And he said, well, he died because he didn't have a cup to drink out of.
Oh dear. Oh.
So anyway, so that tree is still there, and it's, of course it's got a fence around it these days to protect it from vandals.
So going through it left to right, we've got the shovel sticking out of the ground where the cache of supplies was. We've got either Burke or Will standing there. Then on the tree we've got dig 8 feet west, 8 feet, 8 FTW, on the same day that the other guy, William Bay, left. And they didn't find that. It sort of looks like there they found it, but they never found the cache of food. So they ended up, and then you've got one of them lying on the ground mostly the one there on the ground. So they're the 3 men left, Burke, Wills and King. King survived, the other 2 didn't. 2 camels in the background. And this tree and this spot, as mentioned, is on Cooper Creek, which is right on the border between South Australia and Queensland, right up north.
That's right. All out now.
Now, before you finish, Ellen, go back to the picture.
Yeah.
We're going to show you what happened when we went into the art gallery. When this one finishes, you'll see it'll immediately start up, and we'll be in the art gallery looking at the similar picture, except instead of it being just like this one about when they died, the other is when they just started. And then you'll see the man in charge coming along and saying we shouldn't be doing what we're doing, and we had to stop filming. So we'll play that right now.
So folks, you're probably wondering what this picture's all about. Well, on the 21st of August last year, Jock said to me, what do you want to do tomorrow for your birthday? And I said, after great consideration, let's go into Adelaide, go into Maya's basement, and we'll have a cup of coffee, have a walk down North Terrace, let's go to the art gallery, and let's see if we can find any real art. Anyway, we came in here, and I was absolutely delighted to see this picture. I will tell you why when we get home. Now this is Burke and Wills and their expedition that left from Melbourne on the 20th of August 1860. It was an exploration trip, and it was to go from
Sorry, I need to stop you.
Oh,
First of all, if we can get it off there, that's all right. And also, they don't really allow videos.
oh.
Hello folks, I am standing by a very famous tree here in Glenelg, and I'm going to make a proclamation. This happens here on the 28th day of January every year, and they read it, so I'm going to read you a little bit about it. Proclamation Day and the Old Gum Tree. Glenelg, that's the city where we are, is recognised as the oldest European settlement on mainland South Australia. Each year on the 20th of December, the proclamation document is read at the site of the old gum tree. So everybody gathers here, and it is a day of remembrance. It all began on the 28th of December 1836 when a flotilla of ships, not chips, had already landed along with the Colonial Secretary Robert Gooja. We have a street named after him in Adelaide now. A makeshift camp of tents and transportable huts had been established just beyond the sand dunes near a freshwater creek now known as the Patawalonga. Jock nearly drowned in it when he was 5, got rescued by a total stranger. At 2 p.m, with the temperature hovering around 40 degrees, the Cygnet and the Buffalo vessels sailed into Holdfast Bay against a backdrop of fires in the Mount Lofty ranges. This is 1836, remember, and that would be right. In the first boat sat Governor Hindmarch, his secretary George Stevenson, the resident commissioner Hercule Fisher and their families. The official vice-regal party entered Gooja's tent where the commission was read and the oaths administered to the governor and his council. They then emerged and in open woodland beneath a distinctly arched old gum tree, Stevenson read the document known as the Proclamation of South Australia. So there we go. Interesting that so we have a ceremony here each year on this. The tree itself, probably a red gum, had died by 1907. Its decayed outer surface was encased in concrete in 1963, so it's been preserved a bit like a pharaoh. We lived here in the caravan with the kids, and they began school at the local Mitcham Primary, but they will remember playing inside this tree as little children. So I couldn't resist coming back here after looking at the other tree down at Glenelg, the big gum tree there. I said to Jock, let's go up there and look at the old one at Brownhill Creek Caravan Park. So here we are.
Called the Monarch of the Glen.
This is called the canoe tree. It's an old gum tree. The Aborigines cut a canoe out of the bark like well over 100 years ago, possibly closer to 200 years ago. In this particular case, according to the record, they didn't have anybody standing there to catch the bark as it fell, and it cracked, and they glued it together with gum glue and mud. And then they did use it as a canoe, but only for very quick journeys across the river. They didn't leave it in the water because it would soak up water and fall to pieces.
So here we are, Helen, down at the Port Gawler.
And this is the barge dart you can see over here in front of us. And the vessel was built by D. Milne Goolwa during 1912 for the state government and was used by the E&WS department in lock building, pile driving and other works along the River Murray.
Well, this is the closest thing we can get to a canal boat at the moment. There's this barge. It looks like it needs a bit of repairs though.